Ankur, thanks for taking the time to be with me today. I am so excited about this because you are one of my favorite thinkers in the whole space of SDGs and global development. But before we get into questions about that, I actually want to start with something a little more personal. Will you tell a bit about your story and how you ended up at the Gates Foundation?
Pleasure. Thank you, Jim. I grew up in a household which was slightly weird. The belief was that you have to dedicate your life to something bigger than yourself. My parents, they were in New York City in the 70s, and my dad was a physician, was just taking off the sort of American dream. And him, his friends, my mom, everybody made a decision to move back to India, start a health NGO. And so we went from this pathway of like riches to a little bit of scarcity, but a lot of joy. And because they dedicated their lives to something bigger than themselves. So that was the backdrop of where I grew up. And India was going through the economic boom, this reform process. And I decided to be an economist and be part of the group of people who were going to get 400 million people out of poverty. And got my PhD from Chicago and had a thesis advisor who said, don't be just one more smart person to join the development sector. Go to some other sector where things are working, learn, and then bring that. And that brought me to BCG. And it was sort of the great 6 years of my life. Learned a lot, managed to do about a third of my time in social impact work. And at some point, decided to make the move back and ended up at the Gates Foundation and have this really, really cool job now.
Well, this is like the best kind of weird that parents could be, for sure, if this is where it ends up leading you. And I am personally thankful that was their choice. And now we get the chance to collaborate together. So now put that economist hat on, put that chief strategy officer hat on, and we're a little over halfway through the SDG period. Where are we? Where are we overall from a big picture standpoint?
The scorecard doesn't look great. And the kind of issues, we don't have enough resources for the battle in the next half. Developing countries are facing debt burden. Rich world have other pressing needs. They're inward focused, climate change, Ukraine, migrants. That's competing with other needs, which are global health and global development. And so the task is harder. Resources are thinner, but I'm kind of optimistic.
Okay. Well, and I would love to hear then, we had this tremendous success in the MDG era, the beginning of the SDG era, and then we've hit this, really tough plateau and some of the trends that you're talking about. So I would love to hear, what is it that's making you optimistic?
We're at a revolution right now in the sense of science is the scientific frontier on healthcare, on agriculture development. Climate change is here. Climate change is going to hurt a lot of farmers. But we have the science that can produce seeds that are drought resistant, pest resistant, temperature resistant. And so we're pushing that frontier. COVID hit us 5 years back and we came up with a vaccine and we put shots in arms in less than a year. It's amazing. This scientific frontier is crazy and it's brilliant. And now the AI frontier is coming. When the Industrial Revolution happened, we increased labor productivity by 400%. And you can just imagine that happening once again. You have a teacher in a classroom in Ghana who is faced with 50 kids, 7 different learning levels where one kid can't even identify a number to another one who can do 1 plus 1, another who can do 111 plus 111. That kid is faced with an impossible task of teaching everybody and helping everybody grow. An AI-enabled teacher with the same resources, you could just truly change the productivity frontier. And so it's kind of exciting. So I am very hopeful that if we harness the power of science and technology, we could do wonders.
Thank you, Ankur. I share that optimism, by the way. I absolutely agree with you that there is a path out, and that innovation and scaling innovation is that way to break the compromise. 100% with you, and so glad to get to hear from you today. Thanks.
Pleasure.